Okay, everyone, we are back. To you, it's only going to seem like a couple of minutes, but actually, about 45 minutes has passed while I was playing around with the program and everything. In this video, I am going to give a very simple argument for compatibilism, the thesis that a world in which determinism is true is not necessarily a world in which we lack free will. So, therefore, free will and determinism are compatible. And this very simple argument in favor of compatibilism follows from a general principle known as the principle of alternative possibilities. Okay, now the principle of alternative possibilities, in its most general formulation, would be something like this. An action is free just in case the person performing it could have done otherwise. So, your action is free just in case you could have done otherwise than what you actually did. This can be couched in terms of ability to do otherwise. Now, libertarians and hard determinists are both going to have a more robust version of this where they talk about opportunity to do otherwise, or it being open to an individual to do other than what they actually did. But for compatibilists, this very general formulation of the principle of alternative possibilities will work just fine. In fact, compatibilists who think that some version of this principle is necessary for moral responsibility, they need a version like this, a general version like this to work. Okay, so we live in a universe where the Big Bang actually happened. And all the events that happened after the Big Bang have actually happened. Now, and let's just say that on determinism, this is the case. Suppose, given that the Big Bang universe is actual, and just on the assumption that determinism is true, suppose it is the case that, given that the Big Bang universe is actual, I cannot fail to buy coffee next Tuesday. So, given the Big Bang and everything that follows after it, all of these things determine or necessitate that I cannot fail to buy coffee next Tuesday. Okay, now it's here that we need to make a very important distinction. There is a difference between saying, given that the Big Bang universe is actual, I cannot fail to buy coffee, and my saying, I can't fail to buy coffee next Tuesday. So there's a difference between saying, given the Big Bang, I cannot fail to buy coffee, and just saying I cannot fail to buy coffee simpliciter. So, for example, um, given that I have a bachelor's degree in philosophy, a advanced degree in philosophy, and I've been teaching philosophy for 14 years at this point, it is highly unlikely, given all of that, that I will ever become an astronaut. I never really had any aspirations to become an astronaut or anything. But given all of those things you know about me and my actual past, you can make a judgment about it being highly unlikely that I will ever become an astronaut. Now, but if you didn't know any of that information about my actual past, your judgment about the likelihood that I will ever become an astronaut might be slightly different. So if this is the case, if there's a difference between a claim that's conditioned by other things and the claim itself, even if it's not possible for me to fail to buy coffee given the Big Bang, it may still be possible for me to fail to buy coffee next Tuesday. Now, how is that? Well, suppose this were the case. Suppose instead of the Big Bang, we had the meh bang. So, it's a bang. It's not a big bang. It's not even really a marginal bang, but it's also not sort of the bare minimum sort of bang you could have. So if the Big Bang is the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Mad Bang is the Hunger Games trilogy. You're not going to spend $15 on opening night and hire a babysitter to go see the Meh Bang in the theater. You would for the Big Bang, though. Let me tell you. Now, and suppose this is the case. Suppose had the Meh Bang universe been actual, I would not have bought coffee next Tuesday. Suppose had the Meh Bang universe been actual, that would necessitate that I would fail to buy coffee. Suppose, given the Meh Bang, I would buy tea. So the Big Bang universe being actual necessitates that I cannot fail to buy coffee. The Mad Bang universe being actual necessitates that I can not only fail to buy coffee, but I will fail to buy coffee. So if the Meh Bang universe had been actual, if the Meh Bang would have actually happened, I would have failed to buy coffee next Tuesday. Now, what does this have to do with whether or not I freely buy coffee next Tuesday? Well, according to the general principle of the principle of alternative possibilities, all that's needed in order for me to freely buy coffee next Tuesday is that it's possible that I not buy coffee next Tuesday. But since a different past would have resulted in a different future, in order for my action to be freed next Tuesday, it only needs to be the case that the past could have been different. So it's here that we actually get the full argument. So remember, the principle of alternative possibilities says an action is free just in case the person performing it could have done otherwise. Had the past been different, the person would have done otherwise on determinism. So determinists think that the past explains the future. So theoretically, a different past would give you a different future. The past could have been different, right? The Meh Bang could have been actual. There's nothing necessary about the Big Bang. The Big Bang could have failed to happen. We could have had a completely different kind of bang. However, given that the past could have been different, it follows that the person could have done otherwise. So, if the past would have been different, the person would have done otherwise, and the past could have been different, therefore the person could have done otherwise. But if it's true that the person could have done otherwise, then given the general formulation of the principle of alternative possibilities, it follows that the person's action was free. So, just to recap this argument a little bit. An action is free just in case the person performing it could have done otherwise. Had the past been different, the person would have done otherwise on determinism. The past could have been different. Therefore, the person could have done otherwise. Therefore, the person's action was free. So if this argument works, this shows that determinism and free will are compatible. Premise 2 of the argument gives us the determinism premise. The conclusion of the argument gives us that the person's action was free. So if premise 2 is compatible with conclusion 5, that means it is possible for free will and determinism to go hand in hand with each other. Now, if you're sitting there saying, well, John, that's just not good enough. In order for my action to be free, it can't be the case only that I could have done otherwise given some possible past or given some slightly different universe than the one we actually find ourselves in, which is possible but not actual. If you're sitting there saying it needs to be open to me at the time of my action to do otherwise, well, then you would be articulating a view more in line with a libertarian view of free action. The libertarian, again, is going to say, well, in order for my action to be free, I need to be capable of doing otherwise, even in the moment where I am making a decision. It needs to be open to me to do other than what I actually did. Now, but in order for that to be the case, the future has to be open. But the only way for the future to be open is for determinism to be false, and that is why libertarians are incompatibilists. Compatibilists who hold to determinism think that the future is going to be closed. Given that every event is necessitated by prior events, every event that happens is necessitated by prior existing events, which means that there can't be rival sort of streams or branches of events that are going to happen. Now, so if you don't find this argument compelling, that is fine. There are plenty of arguments that don't find it compelling, but this is a very simple argument in favor of compatibilism. And if the argument works, it shows that our actions can be free even if those actions are determined. Okay, and then in the next video, we will give an argument for incompatibilism. And by then, I probably will be wearing a different shirt and might be wearing different glasses. I'll see you then.